morning, friends. I'm loving the energy in the room this morning. It's feeding my spirit. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually diverse, justice-seeking religious community proclaiming the power of love at the center of our living tradition. Love of neighbor, love for ourselves, and love for our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, whatever doubts you carry, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, however you identify, you are welcome here. Everyone is welcome here. I understand a number of you folded t-shirts in our community yesterday and are sporting them today. I want to thank Rachel Strong, who designed our version of the banner, and Bill Reid and Mike Lemieux, who put them up outside and Mike inside to be on display today. We hoped to have them last week, but we were scrambling to get it all together. And I can't tell you already how many people that have been in the space since then have been delighted to see the banner driving by, to see the signs on our walls. So it is good to be a community that can proclaim that proudly and honestly. Thank you for being part of that. I'm the Reverend Sara LaWall. I use she, her pronouns. It's my great honor to serve this beloved community as your minister. I'm joined this morning by Gwyn Reid, who is serving as our celebrant. We are so glad you have joined us this morning. Let's take a moment to welcome those who are worshiping with us on Zoom. Good morning, friends. We're waving at you, but we invite you to turn on your cameras for a moment if you're able so we can see your beautiful faces and welcome you into the space this morning. Good morning, friends. Good morning. I don't know why I can't read names. There's Jane Zornick and Carol Elmore. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Jennifer and Edith and Michael. Good morning, Pam. It's so good to see all of your faces this morning. Good morning, John. Thank you for joining us virtually and reminding us that we worship together as one beloved community beyond the walls of this fellowship. And a special welcome to our newcomers. Those of you that are joining us for the first or second time, we know it takes a lot of courage to check out a new community and even to come back and see us again. And we're so glad that you have chosen us this morning. We invite you to introduce yourselves to us after our worship during our hospitality time if you're with us in person, or write in the chat if you're online so that we can warmly welcome you. And we have some newcomer cards available in our entryways, and we'll post a link in the chat so that you can sign up to receive our emails and keep up with all that is happening in our fellowship. We are a busy and bustling community here. I have a few announcements. We are really excited to look ahead to the start of our annual Giving Drive campaign, our AGD as we like to call it, because we have chosen the most joyful theme this year. Joy is the theme for April. We're so excited to get there. There's no place like home. And you can better believe that we're bringing every ounce of joy from The Wizard of Oz and Wicked and capitalizing on that zeitgeist right now to just pull out all the stops. So on Sunday, April 6th, we kick things off with a fabulous worship service and a community potluck and conversation afterwards. It runs all month long and will end together with Celebration Sunday on April 27th. We hope you will all participate in all that is available and, of course, make your annual pledges to our fellowship to keep this place going. Also in the middle of April, our climate action team is delighted to be partnering with our UUA in a nationwide effort called our Climate Justice Revival. It is a weekend, a full day on Saturday of workshops and community building and movement and music with a culminating in a worship service on Sunday, April 13th, so that's Saturday, April 12th and 13th. And we invite you to participate in that as we imagine a future of resilience together in the light of our climate crisis. Each week, we begin our time together in worship, grounding ourselves, centering ourselves by lighting our flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We light this chalice alongside thousands of other Unitarian Universalists lighting their chalices this morning in their worship spaces and homes across the globe, reminding us that we are part of a great community of faith and love. As we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, if you have a chalice at home in our virtual community or a candle, we invite you to light it with us and then share in the chat where it is you have lit your chalice this morning. I invite us all to rise and body your spirits and sing together our gathering hymn, number 18 in the gray hymnal, words on the screens, What Wondrous Love.
We come from and live on land considered sacred by many indigenous peoples, known as Bannock, Shoshone, Paiute, and many other tribes that lived here sustainably for thousands of years, inhabiting a vast region including much of Idaho.
We recognize the long history of the land, long before colonization, and acknowledge the ancient tribes whose names have been lost in history.
With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our commitment to dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor Indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
In the challenges of these truths, may we move through the world bringing justice in every way that we can, listening to the truths spoken to us by Native American peoples, making space for them to re-inhabit this place, and giving them back the resources they need to heal their communities.
Our spiritual theme for this month of March is living love through the practice of trust. And today our service explores how we can keep creating and becoming a community of trust. So as we enter into this time of worship together, I invite us all to take a breath together. Take a few breaths together. Fill your body with breath. Invite yourself to set aside whatever burdens, worries, anxieties you might have carried in with you this morning, just for this time together. Fill your body with breath, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, and to our planet. Our breath offers us an opportunity for stillness, to tune in to our spiritual center, to listen deeply to our heart's own longing. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-riven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream.
This song says, no matter who you are, no matter where you go in your life, at some point you're going to need somebody to stand by you. Oh yeah, oh my darling, stand by me. No matter who you are, no matter where you go in life, you gon' need somebody to stand by you. No matter how much money you got, all the friends you got, you gon' need somebody to stand by you.
When the night has come and the land is dark and that moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't shed one tear. Just as long as your people come and stand by me.
And darling, darling, stand by me.
Oh, stand by me.
Oh, stand, stand,
Stand by me.
come on, stand by
Stand by
me.
me.
Yeah. Oh, when that sky that we look upon, well, she tumble and Thank you, thank you.
Our call to worship this morning is from the Reverend Sherry Woodbury. Here we are in our circle again, a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time. Here we are, gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds community together. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows, faced and befriended, with a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love, truer than all our inner trembling. Let us model the health we seek for all and lean into community. Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds. Come, let us worship together. With our promise of building beloved community, we celebrate our commitments to being a multi-generational community, a community of generosity and a community of care and connection. In that spirit, I'd like to invite our children up front for our time for all ages. Come on up.
Good morning, friends. Hello. With our theme today of building communities of trust, our story today is about a community that had to learn to trust that the community could provide for itself, that they could do something nobody thought was possible alone, but together they were able to do it. And I know this is going to be a story that many of you have heard before. I know we've used it here before, but it's been a while, so it'll be very familiar to you. And I am going to need 5 villager readers. So before I ask the grown-ups, do any of you out here want to be a reader, a villager? Okay. This is your script. Your villager 2, your villager 3, your villager 4. Is there a 5th among us here? Sure, good. All right, villagers. Now all of y'all are villagers. These are just the villagers that are speaking for the community today, okay? All right, this is a very famous folk tale, and Gwyn and I and all of us are gonna tell it together. All of us are gonna tell it together. Some of you are helpers out there. This is called Stone Soup. How many of you know this story? Yes, look at all those hands. You've heard it before. Okay, so we'll invite you to help when it's your turn, and I'll tell you when it's your turn, villagers, okay? Yeah, thanks. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Once upon a time, a wise old woman decided to go on a journey. So she packed a small bag, said goodbye to her spouse, and set off. She traveled all day without meeting anyone. When it was evening, she came to a small village.
Oh, whew, I think I'll stop here for the night.
Near the center of the village, she met a group of people. So she introduced herself.
Hello, friends. I am a simple traveler looking for a safe place to sleep and a hot meal. Oh, wait, Villager One, wait. There you go.
We'd be glad. Oh.
Yeah,
Real
good.
loud, yeah.
We'd be glad to offer you a place to sleep, but we have very little food. Our crops were very poor this year, and there's not much to eat in the whole village. Most of us are just barely getting by.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but don't you worry about feeding me. I have everything I need. In fact, I was thinking about making some stone soup to share with all of you. Villager
Stone
two.
soup? What's that? We've never heard of stone soup.
Oh, well, it is the best soup I have ever tasted. If you bring me a pot, Villager 2, pass your mic off, come up here, grab a pot, and some pretend water in the pot for all of us, I will help us make some. You just hold it like you're the fight. Yep. There you go. Thanks.
And so the villagers rushed back to their homes. When they returned, one was carrying a large soup pot, another had wood for a fire, and others brought water. When the fire was going and the water had begun to boil, the old woman took out a small silk pouch. With great ceremony, she reached in and pulled out a smooth round stone, which she carefully dropped into the boiling water. The villagers watched eagerly. The old woman began to slowly stir the pot, sniffing the aroma and licking her lips in anticipation.
I love a tasty stone soup, of course. Stone soup with cabbage. Oh, cabbage! That is really special.
I might be able to find a little bit of cabbage.
Great, Villager 3, there's cabbage right there. Would you go grab it and bring it up, please? This is so wonderful, and this reminds me of a time I had stone soup with cabbage and a bit of salted beef.
I know what's a bit of salted beef.
Oh, that's excellent. And can you imagine what this soup would taste like if we had a bit of onion? Oh, villagers, villager, grab that onion. Bring it to the pot, Villager Carrie. Thank you. And maybe a potato. One of you want to go grab the potato? And maybe, I don't know, some carrots. Oh my gosh, there's 3 carrots, villagers are bringing 3 carrots. I know there's some fennel is a wonderful herbaceous flavor in the soup. We need some fennel. There's fennel right there. Wonderful. Let's see, I think we have some garlic. Every soup, no soup would be complete without some garlic. And I'm one of those interesting soup people. Celery also needed. That mirepoix is so important with the onion. But I actually like beets in my soup. That might be weird, but Villager Michael has the beets. Somebody go grab Villager Michael's beets. Broccoli. Oh, Villager Michael, second Villager Michael has the broccoli. Put it in the pot for me. Can you put it in the pot? Put it right there. Yes. Villager Cece, you're gonna help me stir that soup up. Any other vegetables I forgot out there? Okay, we're good. Good job, villagers. Look at all the vegetables the villagers provided. This would be a meal fit for royalty.
And before she knew it, the soup pot was filled to the brim with vegetables of all kinds. Carrots and potatoes, mushrooms and onions, fennel, turnips and green beans, beets and celery, all brought by the men and women and children of the village. Not only that, but the village baker came out.
Here, I have some freshly baked bread with just churned butter.
Bread and butter with our soup.
And as the soup simmered slowly over the fire, the wonderful aroma began to waft over the villagers.
Can you smell it, friend?
And they began to relax and talk together, sharing songs and stories and jokes. When the soup was finally done, the old woman ladled it out into bowls, and they all shared a delicious meal together.
You can put the pot down.
There was more than enough for everyone to eat their fill. Afterward, they all declared that it was the best soup they had ever tasted.
That was the best soup I have ever tasted. The best songs.
The mayor of the village pulled the old woman aside and quietly offered her a great deal of money for the magic stone, but the old woman refused to sell it. The next morning, she woke early and packed up her belongings. As she was leaving the village, she passed by a group of children playing at the side of the road. She handed the youngest one the silk pouch containing the stone and whispered,
It was not the stone that performed the magic. It was all of us together. Let's say those words together, village. They're on our screen.
It was not the stone that performed the magic. It was all of us together.
Amen for that. All of us together is the magic it takes to feed each other and know that there is enough to go around in this world. Thank you, villagers. Thank you, villagers. Thank you for creating this soup together. You're welcome. Today, everybody's going off this way. We have some special helpers today. I want to thank Kara and Johnny and Sangam for helping in RE while Travis is gone today. Let's have all of you stand and let's sing together our community blessing.
Oh, the air got sucked out of the room. When we give, we say yes to the natural cycle of abundance in our lives, trusting that there is enough and we can be part of the enough. We give to say yes to building beloved communities within and beyond our walls, as we commit ourselves to do work for justice and compassion for all people and our earth. Today, as an expression of that commitment and living out our faith in the world, we share those gifts with our plate partner, the Pink Haven Coalition, a collective of trans organizers, mutual aid groups, progressive faith organizations, queer associations, and individual justice lovers. Committed to trans liberation, growing community defense, mutual aid, and alternative systems of care for gender diverse people. I invite the ushers to come forward. Our offering will be gratefully received.
As our ushers bring our offering gifts forward, I invite us all to join together in the collective blessing of our offering this morning. We bless these gifts so freely given. May generosity always be our companion as we walk the holy path toward ever greater beauty. Thank you.
The reading this morning is Trust the People by Adrienne Marie Brown. Trust the people who move toward you and already feel like home. Trust the people to let you rest. Trust the people to do everything better than you could have imagined. Trust the people, and they become trustworthy. Trust that the people are doing their work to trust themselves. Trust that each breach of trust can deepen trust or clarify boundaries. Trust the people who revel in pleasure after hard work. Trust the people who let children teach, remind us how to emote, be still, and laugh. Trust the people who see and hold your heart. Trust the people who listen to whales. Trust the people, and you will become trustworthy. Trust the people and show them your love. Trust the people.
You are the people I trust. I hope you allowed yourself to hear and feel the words of that reading. Trust the people who move towards you and already feel like home. Trust the people who let you rest. Trust the people to do everything better than you could have imagined. Trust the people and they will become trustworthy. Trust the people and you will become trustworthy. At a recent community gathering a few weeks ago, I was asked by several different people, "How are you?" Which is such a loaded question these days. I know we all experience that with each other here. And folks know that, and so they quickly follow up with, "How are you holding up?" But in that moment, the answer that just tumbled out of me kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I said something like, even though it feels really awful most days, and the unbelievable keeps happening and we're all overwhelmed, I'm getting to do some incredible work in these amazing communities with some of the very best people I know. And everyone is bringing their full selves and whole hearts, even with all the fear and uncertainty, and it is what is keeping me going. These are the people I trust. You are the people I trust, especially right now. And I hope that we are those people for each other and for all of the smaller communities that we're a part of in our lives. Because creating communities of trust in these particular very fraught, very unstable times can be kind of tricky. Trusting communities, even progressive, welcoming ones like ours, can feel a little nervy or tenuous because of all that broken trust trauma we all carry with us, which continues to explode around us today. But the call in this moment, perhaps, is how we build trust. How we build that trust is by creating communities of solidarity and resistance. We commit to our ongoing growth, are always becoming the kind of community that walks its talk. We welcome everyone. We use people's preferred names and pronouns. We have non-gendered bathrooms and don't really care what bathrooms you use. We invite drag artists to perform in church as a spiritual act. We protest. We write emails and make phone calls and sign petitions and fold t-shirts. We learn together. We pray together. We feed people. We help shelter people without question or judgment, even if you are camping in your car or on the street, even if you belong to an organization we're not sure about, even if you are undocumented. I know I can trust this collective, this community, because your actions and words have shown me, and shown so many, that you have my back. You have the back of so many who are in harm's way. I know you will fight for me and all of our beloveds. I know you will risk. I know that some of you will put yourselves in harm's way if need be. I know you will resist injustice and authoritarian power grabs and human rights violations. I know you will fight fascism. What is unique about communities like ours, communities of trust like ours, and our learning to be a trustworthy people, is that we also understand it is about respecting differences, welcoming difference. We exist not for total unity of thought or belief or action, but for our unity of love, love for all people and our planet. During my minister's study group a few weeks ago, one of my wonderful colleagues wrote an extraordinary paper looking at Hannah Arendt's book, The Origins of Totalitarianism, and how some of her thought and analysis from the World War II era and the Nazi era applies to our totalitarian regime today. Arendt reflects on this idea of unity and a non-unity of thought by exploring loneliness. For her, loneliness is both a symptom and a critical component of fascism. Fascism exploits loneliness by creating this facade of unity. But what's really happening is that the tactics and disinformation and the propaganda force a kind of groupthink, and in reality, exacerbate loneliness. My colleague, the Reverend Lucas Hergert, writes, under fascism, citizens are pressed together such that there is no room to reflect and express one's own thoughts, creating an undifferentiated mass that is all the lonelier when its members are with one another. So creating communities of trust, then, especially religious communities like ours, where free expression is welcome, and freedom of thought is encouraged, and freedom to search for one's own truth and meaning is held as sacred, where we trust the people who move toward us and already feel like home, and trust the people who see and hold our heart, who revel in pleasure after hard work, who let our children teach and remind us how to emote, be still, and laugh. These communities of which we are a part and we help create become a critical tool in countering and resisting fascism and totalitarianism. Reverend Hergert puts it this way: only when one's solitude and one's ability to craft independent thought is respected by the community is loneliness alleviated and meaningful solidarity fostered. He goes on to say, with fascism, those elements are not possible, and everyone must ascribe to the premise and its logical consequences without question, and there is no community that can bear the possibility of independent thought. Under this system, communities that permit a free and responsible search for meaning will be an oasis, a refuge, a salve for loneliness, and they will also be a threat and target for fascist politics that cannot countenance such differences. given that stark truth, meaningful solidarity, where differences and diversity are respected and even celebrated, becomes all the more important in our expression of trustworthiness. And I want to clarify a little bit about what it means to welcome difference, because what we mean here is that we are not using our ideas or our beliefs to do harm or to marginalize or to oppress people. Oftentimes when I preach a sermon like this, I will inevitably get the question, would a conservative Republican feel welcome here? And that's a complicated question with a complicated answer. But what I might say is that we are a welcoming community, and we do, in fact, try to welcome everyone. And that is a different stance than asking the question, would they feel welcome here? Would their values align with ours? Because we're not in the position of compromising our values such that they might continue to inflict harm and violence and oppression on others. So that's a tricky little conundrum sometimes to think about. But there is deep theological wisdom to support this kind of independent thought in religious communities. In the study of process theology, which teaches that everything that exists, including God, is in an eternal process of growing and becoming, that we are co-creators with God in our own spiritual evolution. Process theologians also assert that God does not have unilateral coercive control over everything in the universe, that God cannot, in fact, override a person's individual freedom. Perhaps you can see why this is a popular line of theological study among Unitarians. But from that core understanding, renowned theologian Alfred North Whitehead, considered the father of process theology, offered this wisdom in his 1926 book, Religion in the Making. He writes, "Religion is what the individual does with their own solitariness. Religion is what the individual does with their own solitariness. Instead of religion being a coercive force, it becomes a kind of individual one, part of our natural human pursuit of meaning-making. And combine that with the Latin meaning of the root of religion, religare, to bind, then religious communities become the places and the people that bind us together in that individual search for meaning. Binding us in ritual and liturgy, in music, in care and connection, in the pursuit of justice and compassion, binding us together in love and trust. And there is another equally important piece to creating communities of trust that I want to talk about this morning, and that is covenant and repair. Because the picture I've painted up till now is beautiful and affirming, and it describes the kind of communities in which I want to invest myself, including this one. But we know, and it is so important to acknowledge, that sometimes that vision of trust breaks. Sometimes we mess up. Being human means we are not always leading with our best selves. It means we're all in different places on the spectrum of learning. It means remembering there is always more work to do in one's own personal and spiritual growth. Being human means we struggle to honor differences sometimes and struggle to align our actions with our values 100% of the time. And these days, with the pressure cooker we are living in, fielding attacks from so many different spaces, that pressure can build up in us and leak out sideways, instead of releasing it in perhaps more intentional and healthier ways, which is what we try to do here when we worship together, the intentional, healthy pressure release. So part of creating communities of trust together involves remembering and honoring our covenants, the shared agreements of how we will show up together. As Unitarian Universalists, we declare ourselves a covenantal faith rather than a creedal faith. So covenants become central to how we identify and function in religious community. And we have a number of different covenants that are important to us. The language of our shared UU values are expressed in the language of covenant, reminding us that our spiritual lives and commitments are centered in love and focused on what we do and how we treat each other and how we show up in the world rather than on what we believe. We also have a Booth congregational covenant. It was crafted some years ago by a team of folks and affirmed by a vote of the congregation. It's on our website, and we have some copies. If you'd like to take some home, we give them to our new members during our new member ceremony. I often invite folks to post it on your refrigerator or somewhere visible so you can remind yourself of those covenantal agreements from time to time. And interestingly, relevant to the themes of this sermon, I want to note that the first agreement, that no one can read up there, but I wanted to show you what the covenant looks like, is we covenant to welcome those who come to us with acceptance and respect for the differences among us, and to remain open to the richness and discomforts of diversity. That was written many years ago, y'all. Beautiful, and perhaps even more deeply powerful, poignant words in this moment with this sign above my head. And very often when we gather together in small groups here in the church, like chalice circles or adult RE, or as like leadership teams on the board, we craft covenants together, particular to that group and its task. I know the board has a beautiful covenant right now that riffs off of those shared UU values. And it is also on the web if you want to read it. Covenants help us articulate how we can be and become strong communities of trust. But one of the affirmations we UUs like to remind ourselves about is that our covenants are aspirational. We construct them with the full awareness of our human fallibility, knowing that we mess up and that when we do, it can sometimes feel awful and painful. We can inflict harm, sometimes without even being aware that we've done so or why the impact of our actions were harmful. In all of our learning and unlearning, particularly about systemic racism and oppression, we know that we can be so ingrained in our particular cultures and ways of being that we don't realize our words and actions, even when offered with well-meaning intent, have had a painful impact. I will tell you that I have stepped in it at least 3 times in the last 2 weeks and have had to make repairs that have been really emotional and quite challenging, because it's hard to acknowledge when you have hurt someone. So part of creating and practicing trust is also learning the practice of repair. Making meaningful repair in our relationships and in communities when we screw up helps foster trust and can create the space to begin again in love. But man, it's hard. I mean, trust is hard enough for many of us, but repair, that can be even harder. Because true repair, meaningful repair, is about so much more than an apology. It requires owning our own part and taking responsibility. It requires naming the harm and validating another's lived experience. And it requires taking steps to change, to unlearn, to pivot, and redress our behavior or our actions, to offer empathy and reach out rather than to contract and isolate, which is sometimes that instinct when we've hurt someone or we've been told we've hurt them. And it requires accepting our own imperfection and fallibility and offering ourselves some compassion and forgiveness as well. And all of that work is in service to strengthening community, to strengthening our trust in one another, strengthening our trust in this community as a whole, to offer meaningful solidarity so we fortify ourselves for these times. So let us be the people we trust who are doing the work to trust themselves. Let us be the people who know each breach of trust can deepen or clarify boundaries. Let us be the people we trust to witness together, to care for each other, to fight on behalf of our beloveds, and to know we can always begin again in love. May it be so. Amen. We are going to invite us all into our music of reflection time with those beautiful words, this litany of atonement. We begin again in love, as a practice of a reminder for ourselves about how we can show up and create trust in community. So this is a spoken and sung response. We'll sing the words together. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. They will be on the screen. I'm going to invite Carrie to play through the melody one time. Just listen, and then we'll practice together. Okay, let's sing that response together. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. That is all that you have to sing. We'll do the speaking.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness which sets us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For those and so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled our illusion of separateness. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Beautiful. Thank you. And we begin again in love and remind each other of that fact each week when we take time to acknowledge the joys and sorrows and milestones and celebrations among us so that we might carry the burden for one another and receive the blessing of this community. And it's through our sharing with one another that we continue to forge those deep bonds of trust and community and connection. We begin this morning by sharing these joys and sorrows with you. Val Duffy reflects, where did the time go? I turned 70 on April 25th. Happy almost birthday, Val, but I hear you in that reflection because I turn 50 tomorrow. Where did the time go, people? Where did the time go? It has not been 10 years. Jane Rowling celebrates her niece's husband who came to the U.S. from Ghana with his family as a child, became a U.S. citizen on Friday. Hallelujah. Her friend in Rwanda, a former mountain gorilla trekker with Diane Fossey, is in training to be a safari guide, and she celebrates these long-awaited dreams come true. The Pyle family shares that their eldest daughter, Ella, is having a second hip surgery on April 1st to deal with issues from her car accident, but she's had to drop out of her second semester of college and will be non-weight-bearing for 6 weeks. We send you good thoughts, all of you, and Ella as well, on that challenging and continued journey. And Sheila Ames and Jim Bigelow share the sorrow that their son's fiancé, Tane, was recently hospitalized again. Please hold her in your hearts as she continues to battle with terminal colon cancer. We hold all of those joys and sorrows close in our hearts. Those that are spoken aloud and those that remain silent. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name into this community of love or share in the chat that we might hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent and close to our hearts. Let us breathe together. In and out. Releasing the sorrows the world knows too well. Finding comfort in our connection with one another. Finding spaciousness and trust in this community. Recognizing that we are a part of a whole and holy community where joy and woe are woven fine. I invite you to join me in this continued time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, holy mystery. When our hearts grow weary and cynical, when we feel our armor and walls rising up, when uncertainty and fear threaten to paralyze us, let us remember we can trust our people. Let us look around and see other broken hearts and also smiling faces. May we listen for the laughter and let ourselves be swept away in song. May we see arms wide open and feel an earnestness of love among all our differences and quirks of being human. an earnestness of love that calls us closer to one another, that reminds us we are not alone, that softens us and holds us in our sorrow, and cheers wildly and with abandon at our celebrations and milestones. May we keep learning and growing together, welcoming all who seek a place of refuge and acceptance among us. May we keep creating and building and becoming a community of trust, repairing when we need to, offering a soft landing and wholehearted love, a place where we all might trust in community. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen. And so we sing together of being a community of trust and a community of love. And there's no better song that expresses this than the good old Lean on Me. And so I'll invite you to sing it together to rise and body your spirit. This is hymn 1021 and our teal hymnal words also on the screen. Friends, I invite you to place your hand over your heart for our closing blessing. Let us trust one another. Let us lean on one another, learning and growing, repairing together, welcoming difference, welcoming everyone. Blessed are we all. Go in peace.